Genesis 7. And the Lord said to him, Enter the ark, you and all your house. For I have seen you to be just in my sight, within this generation. From all the clean animals, take 7 and 7, the male and the female. Yet truly, from animals that are unclean, take 2 and 2, the male and the female. But also from the birds of the air, take 7 and 7, the male and the female, so that offspring may be saved upon the face of the whole earth. For from that point, and after 7 days, I will rain upon the earth for 40 days and 40 nights. And I will wipe away every substance that I have made, from the surface of the earth. Therefore, Noah did all things just as the Lord had commanded him. And he was 600 years old when the waters of the great flood inundated the earth. And Noah entered into the ark, and his sons, his wife, and the wives of his sons with him, because of the waters of the great flood. And from the animals both clean and unclean, and from the birds, and from everything that moves upon the earth. 2 by 2 they were brought into the ark to Noah, male and female, just as the Lord had instructed Noah. And when 7 days had passed, the waters of the great flood inundated the earth. In the 600th year of the life of Noah, in the 2nd month, in the 17th day of the month, all the fountains of the great abyss were released, and the floodgates of heaven were opened. And rain came upon the earth for 40 days and 40 nights. On the very same day, Noah and his sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, and his wife and the 3 wives of his sons with them, entered the ark. They and every animal according to its kind, and all the cattle in their kind, and everything that moves upon the earth in their kind, and every flying thing according to its kind, all the birds and all that can fly. Entered the ark to Noah, 2 by 2 out of all that is flesh, in which there was the breath of life. And those that entered went in male and female, from all that is flesh, just as God had instructed him. And then the Lord closed him in from the outside. And the great flood occurred for 40 days upon the earth. And the waters were increased, and they lifted the ark high above the land. For they overflowed greatly, and they filled everything on the surface of the earth. And then the ark was carried across the waters. And the waters prevailed beyond measure across the earth. And all the lofty mountains under the whole heaven were covered. The water was 15 cubits higher than the mountains which it covered. And all flesh was consumed which moved upon the earth, flying things, animals, wild beasts, and all moving things that crawl upon the ground. And all men. And everything in which there is the breath of life on earth, died. And he wiped away all substance that was upon the earth, from man to animal, the crawling things just as much as the flying things of the air. And they were wiped away from the earth. But only Noah remained, and those who were with him in the ark. And the waters possessed the earth for 150 days. Genesis 8. Then God remembered Noah, and all living things, and all the cattle, which were with him in the ark, and he brought a wind across the earth, and the waters were diminished. And the fountains of the abyss and the floodgates of heaven were closed. And the rain from heaven was restrained. And the waters were restored to their coming and going from the earth. And they began to diminish after 150 days. And the ark rested in the 7th month, on the 27th day of the month, upon the mountains of Armenia. Yet in truth, the waters were departing and decreasing until the 10th month. For in the 10th month, on the 1st day of the month, the tips of the mountains appeared. And when 40 days had passed, Noah, opening the window that he had made in the ark, sent forth a raven, which went forth and did not return, until the waters were dried up across the earth. Likewise, he sent forth a dove after him, in order to see if the waters had now ceased upon the face of the earth. But when she did not find a place where her foot might rest, she returned to him in the ark. For the waters were upon the whole earth. And he extended his hand and caught her, and he brought her into the ark. And then, Having waited a further 7 days, he again sent forth a dove out of the ark. And she came to him in the evening, carrying in her mouth an olive branch with green leaves. Noah then understood that the waters had ceased upon the earth. And nevertheless, he waited another 7 days. And he sent forth the dove, which no longer returned to him. Therefore, in the 601st year, in the 1st month, on the 1st day of the month, the waters were diminished upon the earth. And Noah, opening the cover of the ark, gazed out and saw that the surface of the earth had become dry. In the 2nd month, on the 27th day of the month, the earth was made dry. Then God spoke to Noah, saying, "Go out of the ark, you and your wife, your sons and the wives of your sons with you. Bring out with you all the living things that are with you, all that is flesh, as with the birds, so also with the wild beasts and all the animals that move upon the earth. And enter upon the land, increase and multiply upon it." And so Noah and his sons went out, and his wife and the wives of his sons with him. Then also all living things, and the cattle, and the animals that move upon the earth, according to their kinds, departed from the ark. Then Noah built an altar to the Lord. And, taking from each of the cattle and birds that were clean, he offered holocausts upon the altar. And the Lord smelled the sweet odor and said, "I will no longer curse the earth because of man. For the feelings and thoughts of the heart of man are prone to evil from his youth. Therefore, I will no longer pierce every living soul as I have done. All the days of the earth, seedtime and harvest, cold and heat, summer and winter, night and day, will not cease." Genesis 9. And God blessed Noah and his sons. And he said to them, "Increase, and multiply, and fill the earth. And let the fear and trembling of you be upon all the animals of the earth, and upon all the birds of the air, along with all that moves across the earth. All the fish of the sea have been delivered into your hand. And everything that moves and lives will be food for you. Just as with the edible plants, I have delivered them all to you. Except that flesh with blood you shall not eat. For I will examine the blood of your lives at the hand of every beast. So also, at the hand of mankind, at the hand of each man and his brother, I will examine the life of mankind. Whoever will shed human blood, his blood will be poured out. For man was indeed made to the image of God. But as for you, increase and multiply, and go forth upon the earth and fulfill it." To Noah and to his sons with him, God also said this: "Behold, I will establish my covenant with you, and with your offspring after you. And with every living soul that is with you, as much with the birds as with the cattle and all the animals of the earth that have gone forth from the ark, and with all the wild beasts of the earth. I will establish my covenant with you, and no longer will all that is flesh be put to death by the waters of a great flood, and, henceforth, there will not be a great flood to utterly destroy the earth." And God said, "This is the sign of the pact that I grant between me and you, and to every living soul that is with you, for perpetual generations. I will place my ark in the clouds, and it will be the sign of the pact between myself and the earth. And when I obscure the sky with clouds, my ark will appear in the clouds. And I will remember my covenant with you, and with every living soul that enlivens flesh. And there will no longer be waters from a great flood to wipe away all that is flesh. And the ark will be in the clouds, and I will see it, and I will remember the everlasting covenant that was enacted between God and every living soul of all that is flesh upon the earth." And God said to Noah, "This will be the sign of the covenant that I have established between myself and all that is flesh upon the earth." And so the sons of Noah, who came out of the ark, were Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Now Ham himself is the father of Canaan. These three are the sons of Noah. And from these all the family of mankind was spread over the whole earth. And Noah, a good farmer, began to cultivate the land, and he planted a vineyard. And by drinking its wine, he became inebriated and was naked in his tent. Because of this, when Ham, the father of Canaan, had indeed seen the privates of his father to be naked, he reported it to his two brothers outside. And truly, Shem and Japheth put a cloak upon their arms, and, advancing backwards, covered the privates of their father. And their faces were turned away, so that they did not see their father's manhood. Then Noah, awaking from the wine, when he had learned what his younger son had done to him, he said, "Cursed be Canaan, a servant of servants will he be to his brothers." And he said, "Blessed be the Lord God of Shem, let Canaan be his servant. May God enlarge Japheth, and may he live in the tents of Shem, and let Canaan be his servant." And after the great flood, Noah lived for 350 years. And all his days were completed in 950 years, and then he died. Genesis 10. These are the generations of the sons of Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, and of the sons who were born to them after the great flood. The sons of Japheth were Gomer, and Magog, and Madai, and Javan, and Tubal, and Meshech, and Tiras. And then the sons of Gomer were Ashkenaz, and Riphath, and Togarmah. And the sons of Javan were Elisha, and Tarshish, Kittim, and Rodanim. The islands of the Gentiles were divided by these into their regions, each one according to his tongue, and their families in their nations. And the sons of Ham were Cush, and Mizraim, and Put, and Canaan. And the sons of Cush were Seba, and Havilah, and Sabta, and Ramah, and Sabteka. The sons of Ramah were Sheba and Adon. And then Cush conceived Nimrod, he began to be powerful on the earth. And he was an able hunter before the Lord. From this, a proverb came forth, just like Nimrod, an able hunter before the Lord. And so, the beginning of his kingdom was Babylon, and Erech, and Akkad, and Chalon, in the land of Shinar. From that land, Esar came forth, and he built Nineveh, and the streets of the city, and Calah. And also Resen, between Nineveh and Calah. This is a great city. And truly, Mizraim conceived Ludim, and Anamim, and Lehabim, Naphtuhim, and Bathrusim, and Kisluhim, from whom came forth the Philistines and the Caphtorim. Then Canaan conceived Sidon his firstborn, the Hittite, and the Jebusite, and the Amorite, the Girgashite, the Hivite, and the Archite, the Sinite, and the Arvadian, the Samorite, and the Hamathite. And after this, the peoples of the Canaanites became widespread. And the borders of Chanaan went, as one travels, from Sidon to Gerar, even to Gaza, until one enters Sodom and Gomorrah, and from Admah and Zeboim, even to Lisa. These are the sons of Ham in their kindred, and tongues, and generations, and lands, and nations. Likewise, from Shem, the father of all the sons of Heber, the elder brother of Japheth, sons were born. The sons of Shem were Elam, and Ashur, and Arphaxad, and Lud, and Aram. The sons of Aram were Uz, and Hul, and Gether, and Mash. But truly, Arphaxad conceived Shelah, from whom was born Eber. And to Eber were born two sons, the name of the one was Peleg, for in his days the earth became divided, and his brother's name was Joktan. This Joktan conceived Almodad, and Sheleph, and Hazarmaveth, Jerah, and Hadoram, and Uzal and Diklah, and Obal and Abimael, Sheba, and Ophir, and Havilah and Jobab. All these were the sons of Joktan. And their habitation extended from Massa, as one sojourns, even to Sephir, a mountain in the east. These are the sons of Shem according to their kindred, and tongues, and the regions within their nations. These are the families of Noah, according to their peoples and nations. The nations became divided according to these, on the earth after the great flood. Genesis 11. Now the earth was of one language and of the same speech. And when they were advancing from the east, they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt in it. And each one said to his neighbor, "Come, let us make bricks, and bake them with fire." And they had bricks instead of stones, and pitch instead of mortar. And they said, "Come, let us make a city and a tower, so that its height may reach to heaven. And let us make our name famous before we are divided into all the lands." Then the Lord descended to see the city and the tower, which the sons of Adam were building. And he said, "Behold, the people are united, and all have one tongue. And since they have begun to do this, they will not desist from their plans, until they have completed their work. Therefore, come, let us descend, and in that place confound their tongue, so that they may not listen, each one to the voice of his neighbor." And so the Lord divided them from that place into all the lands, and they ceased to build a city. And for this reason, its name was called Babel, because in that place the language of the whole earth became confused. And from then on, the Lord scattered them across the face of every region. These are the generations of Shem. Shem was 100 years old when he conceived Arphaxad, 2 years after the great flood. And after he conceived Arphaxad, Shem lived for 500 years, and he conceived sons and daughters. Next, Arphaxad lived for 35 years, and then he conceived Shelah. And after he conceived Shelah, Arphaxad lived for 303 years, and he conceived sons and daughters. Likewise, Shelah lived for 30 years, and then he conceived Eber. And after he conceived Eber, Shelah lived for 403 years, and he conceived sons and daughters. Then Eber lived for 34 years, and he conceived Peleg. And after he conceived Peleg, Eber lived for 430 years, and he conceived sons and daughters. Likewise, Peleg lived for 30 years, and then he conceived Reu. And after he conceived Reu, Peleg lived for 209 years, and he conceived sons and daughters. Then Reu lived for 32 years, and then he conceived Serug. Likewise, after he conceived Serug, Reu lived for 207 years, and he conceived sons and daughters. In truth, Serug lived for 30 years, and then he conceived Nahor. And after he conceived Nahor, Serug lived for 200 years, and he conceived sons and daughters. And so Nahor lived for 29 years, and then he conceived Terah. And after he conceived Terah, Nahor lived for 119 years, and he conceived sons and daughters. And Terah lived for 70 years, and then he conceived Abram, and Nahor, and Haran. And these are the generations of Terah. Terah conceived Abram, Nahor, and Haran. Next Haran conceived Lot. And Haran died before his father Terah, in the land of his nativity, in Ur of the Chaldeans. Then Abram and Nahor took wives. The name of Abram's wife was Sarai. And the name of Nahor's wife was Milcah, the daughter of Haran, the father of Milcah, and the father of Iscah. But Sarai was barren and had no children. And so Terah took his son Abram, and his grandson Lot, the son of Haran, and his daughter-in-law Sarai, the wife of his son Abram, and he led them away from Ur of the Chaldeans, to go into the land of Canaan. And they approached as far as Haran, and they dwelt there. And the days of Terah that passed were 205 years, and then he died in Haran. Genesis 12. Then the Lord said to Abram, "Depart from your land, and from your kindred, and from your father's house, and come into the land that I will show you. And I will make of you a great nation, and I will bless you and magnify your name, and you will be blessed. I will bless those who bless you, and curse those who curse you, and in you all the families of the earth will be blessed." And so Abram departed just as the Lord had instructed him, and Lot went with him. Abram was 75 years old when he departed from Haran. And he took his wife Sarai, and Lot, the son of his brother, and all the substance which they had come to possess, and the lives which they had acquired in Haran, and they departed in order to go to the land of Canaan. And when they arrived in it, Abram passed through the land even to the place of Shechem, as far as the famous steep valley. Now at that time, the Canaanite was in the land. Then the Lord appeared to Abram, and he said to him, "To your offspring, I will give this land." And there he built an altar to the Lord, who had appeared to him. And passing on from there to a mountain, which was opposite the east of Bethel, he pitched his tent there, having Bethel to the west, and Hai on the east. He also built an altar there to the Lord, and he called upon his name. And Abram traveled, going out and continuing further on, toward the south. But a famine occurred in the land. And Abram descended to Egypt, to sojourn there. For famine prevailed over the land. And when he was close to entering Egypt, he said to his wife Sarai, "I know you to be a beautiful woman. And when the Egyptians see you, they will say, 'She is his wife,' and they will put me to death, and retain you. Therefore, I beg you to say that you are my sister, so that it may be well with me because of you, and so that my soul may live by your favor." And so, when Abram had arrived in Egypt, the Egyptians saw that the woman was exceedingly beautiful. And the princes reported it to Pharaoh, and they praised her to him. And the woman was inducted into the house of Pharaoh. In truth, they treated Abram well because of her. And he had sheep and oxen and male donkeys, and men servants, and women servants, and female donkeys, and camels. But the Lord scourged Pharaoh and his house with great wounds because of Sarai, the wife of Abram. And Pharaoh called Abram, and he said to him, "What is this that you have done to me? Why did you not tell me she was your wife? For what reason did you claim her to be your sister, so that I would take her to me as a wife? Now therefore, behold your mate, receive her and go." And Pharaoh instructed his men about Abram. And they led him away with his wife and all that he had. Thank you for watching. If you like the content on this channel, please press subscribe, the like button or comment below. We'd love to get your tips. See you next time.